Interesting. Good evening, commissioners. Welcome to tonight's City Commission meeting. We'll begin, as we always do, with a word of prayer, and we'll honor our flags. If you would, please pray with me. Our Father in heaven, thank you for the blessings you give us each day. Thank you for this wonderful community that you've called us to live and work and serve in. We ask your guidance over tonight's meeting, and we ask that you would open your hand of blessing over our city and over the people of our city. I ask these things in the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen. Please join me in honoring our country's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the symbol of perfect friendships among united cultures. Our meeting is called to order. Ms. Reyes, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Jones?
Here.
Commissioner Bryant?
Here.
Commissioner Casals? Commissioner Porter?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bryant?
Here.
Commissioner Garza?
Here.
Commissioner Rowley? Here. Commissioner Paula? Mayor Morris?
Here. Thank you. Commissioners, unless there are any objections to the agenda as it's printed, we will assume your approval and adopt it. Okay? We will adopt the agenda as it's printed, and if the clerk would please record a yes vote for all members of the commission. Thank you. Next is approval of the minutes. The minutes from the Thursday, June 16th meeting are in your packet. I'll assume your approval unless you have changes to recommend. Hearing no objections, we will adopt the minutes from the Thursday, June 16th, 2022 meeting, and the clerk will record a yes vote for each of the commission members. Thank you. Next is recognition of visitors. We want to welcome each of you to tonight's meeting. Those members of the public that are here simply because you're interested in what your city government is doing. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your interest. Those of you that are here to present for or on one of the agenda items, we very much look forward to hearing from you when we reach that point. Thank you. We have no presentations this evening, which is rare, as we usually do. So we'll move on into receipts of petitions and communications, where we have two planned communications there this evening. The first is a communication regarding Memorial Scholarship recipients, and Ms. Hinchy, we'll give you the floor. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. Actually, I wanted to give you an update of all the victims' impact monies that were given to the library after the incident of 2017. Can you believe it's been 5 years? Wow. So we started off with $29,000. We had portraits of Wanda and Chrissy painted by Shirley DeMaio, which amount to $3,600. I gave $1,000 to each of the county high schools, so included Clovis Christian. They used, LaDonna said they used it for collections. Melrose Library, they used it to build a new children's library in their elementary school. Clovis High School, they used it for collections. Texaco used it for computer equipment, and Grady also used it for computer equipment as a way of thanking them, because all those kids at some point probably knew Chrissy. Then with the Clovis Community College Foundation, we were able to give $6,000 in scholarships. And I have the recipients here, and I'll just read them off to you. In the spring 2019, they were $500 each, and they were based on need, not academics. So the recipients for spring 19 were Christy Brockett and Diana Tyler. In the fall of 2019 were Victoria Espinoza and Naali Caldera. In the spring of 2020, the recipients were Marisol Harafu and Perla Herachia. I should have proofread this first. In the fall of 2020, Eric Barella and Astra Dela Cruz. And in the spring of 2021, Crystal Cordell and Madison Hakma. Then we had about $14,000 left. And so through an agreement from the chamber and the nonprofit corporation, the Clovis-Carver Library, we were able to give $2,000 scholarships for 4 years to 2 candidates each. So those scholarships were based on merit and academic achievement. I had an application drawn up where it asked for things like grade point, rank in class, extracurricular activities, future goals, current goals, and they had to write an essay that talked about where they're going to school, what they're going to study, and what their future plans were. The committee for all 4 years was made up of myself and Ann Shuckman and Diana Thompson. There were about 15 applications for each scholarship for the 4 years, which is kind of remarkable. So in 2019, both scholarships were given to girls from Texaco, and they were Jessa Reed, who went to Texas Tech, who is going to Texas Tech, and Timia Northcutt, who's also going to Texas Tech. In 2020, both these girls were from Texaco, and we had Riley Thompson, who is going to Texas Tech, and Sydney Waller, who's going to ENMU. In 2021, they're both from Clovis High School, and they are Danielle Griego and Michaela Snyder. Michaela's a gymnast, you know, that jumps all over the place, the trampoline girl. And 2022, the recipients were Mackenzie Keith and Hannah Gallegos, and they're both going to study nursing. So that concludes the Memorial Victims Impact monies that were given to us after the 27 incident. The rest of the money, I think there was about $60,000 collected. $30,000 of that was given to victims and their needs. And we were given, thankfully, the rest of it. Do you have any questions? I mean,
Just comments from me. That's wonderful. Thank you. What a great report and what just a wonderful memorial.
It was an honor to be able to use those monies wisely, you know, and give back to the community.
Yes, ma'am. That was wonderful. Thank you, Ms.
Any other
Hinchey.
questions or comments?
Oh, thank you.
No,
Great job.
good report.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Thanks.
Thank you. The second planned communication is communication regarding July 2022 Empty the Shelter Month. And to share with us on that this evening is our police chief, Roy Rice, and it appears that we have Ms. Gay Cook from the High Plains Humane Society. Welcome. Are you going to flip a coin about who's going to go?
He
Ladies
said I got
first.
to go first, and I don't really know what we're talking about here. But anyway, so I'm with the High Plains Humane Society. We have been helping with the Clovis shelter for years and just looking for ways to help out. And we got the opportunity to apply for a grant that we were awarded through Best Friends Animal Society and the Rachel Ray Network to pay for shelter adoptions. So along with the city, with Claire and Chief Rice, we decided to do a Clear the Shelter event, or actually an Empty the Shelter event in July. The national one is actually August. We may be able to overlap into August as well, depending on the funds. I think we may have enough to do a couple of months. But basically trying to raise awareness for adoptions, help the shelter get more pets adopted. Normally, on a normal year, the shelter runs about 2,200 animals through that shelter. And typically about 268 dogs are adopted out of that and 22 cats. So a lot of people do not realize where the shelter is. They don't think to go to the shelter and adopt. So we're trying to raise awareness for adoption and along with that animal issues at the same time and help the shelter get animals out. So the initial grant was for $6,800. And that should help us get about 136 animals adopted out on the first round. And then we're going to look for more grants to see what we can continue to help with. So,
Thank you.
okay.
Well done. Thank you.
And just kind of an update on this. We started this, of course, Kelsey did a magnificent job of doing a press release for this for us so we can put this out, but Gay covered most of this for us. I went ahead and dropped it on the shelter Saturday to see how things were going, and things were going well. We expect to have the month pretty well full, but so far we've had 5 cats, which is surprising, adopted out. And we've had 9 dogs adopted over the weekend. However, one was returned due to being a little bit hyper and high-strung for the family, and they had to return it for their health and safety. So the program is going well. Like she said, we're trying to get the people to be aware, especially with summer months coming on, that we need the animals to be protected. We need them to have their shots. We need them to have their licenses. And just because it gets cool in the evening, not to be letting them get out and run around because of diseases and because of the other animals we have in the area, like foxes and skunks and things like this, that are known to carry the rabies virus. So what we're asking people to do is just be aware. Let's keep the animals put up so we don't have to pick them up and adopt them back out, somebody else to take care of. The shelter program, going in with them as a partnership, we couldn't do it without them in this case, because they're providing a lot of money, and this is benefiting our community by people getting their animals back out. Any questions?
No questions, just, a comment. Obviously, the partnership with the Best Friends organization is a good one, because, they've given you some great ideas about ways to improve the activities, the operations at the shelter, but also they've obviously turned us on to some grant opportunities for, to really help. So I'm really glad that we have the Best Friends partnership and appreciate all the effort out at the shelter. Thank you.
And Mayor, one more thing before I step down. I know you should have gotten emails inviting you tomorrow. Each of you are invited tomorrow for our peace officers commissioning at 4 o'clock.
I did get that. Thank you, and plan to be there. Yes, sir. Thanks. Commissioners, we remain in receipts of petitions and communications. So if there's anything else, or if there's anyone else that wishes to bring something before the commission this evening, now would be the time. Very well. Hearing and seeing none, we will move on to the consent agenda. As you know, we have the consent agenda for those routine items that you wish to approve with one motion. I'll read the consent agenda beginning with item 2. It is request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3130-2022, DFA budget changes. Item 3, request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3131-2022, granting approval of preliminary plat of the Colonies Unit 2 subdivision, a tract of land within the southeast quarter section of Section 4, Township 2 North, Range 36 East, NM, PM. Item 4 is request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3132-2022, granting approval of a preliminary plat of the Windy Plains subdivision, a tract of land within the northeast quarter of Section 33, Township 2 North, Range 36 East, NM, PM. Item 5, request for approval of introduction of an ordinance authorizing the execution of the First Amendment to real estate contract between the City of Clovis and Plaza Street Partners, LLC. Item 6, request for approval to renew existing contract with Spectra Civic Center Management for fiscal year 2022-2023. Item 7 is request for approval of task order with Leidick Engineers and Surveyors to perform construction oversight and inspection services on Phase 3 of the 7th Street project. Item 8, request for approval of adoption of current retail gap analysis for the purposes of Local Economic Development Act for retail applications. Item 9, request for approval to award ITB 22-0404-03 Norris Street reconstruction to K. Barnett and Sons Incorporated. Item 10, request for approval for a noise variance for a birthday party at Potter Park from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Saturday, July 9th, 2022. Item 11, request for approval to apply for and accept, if awarded, the 2022 Pet Safe Bark for Your Park grant in the amount of $5,000 to purchase agility equipment for the Hillcrest Dog Park. That's your consent agenda. Unless there are any concerns, I would entertain a motion to place the indicated items on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to place from Commissioner Jones, second from Commissioner Garza. Commissioners, please vote. Perhaps we should go to a roll call on that. Ms. Reyes, would you please call the roll on the motion and the second to place the indicated items on the consent agenda?
Commissioner Porter,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bryant,
Yes.
Commissioner Garza,
Yes.
Commissioner Rowley,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryant.
Yes.
And it is unanimous, the motion is carried, and so now I would entertain a motion to approve or acknowledge all items on the consent agenda.
So move.
Second.
Motion for approval from Commissioner Garza, second from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. Commissioners, please vote. Ms. Reyes, would you please call the roll on the motion to place, or the motion to approve or acknowledge all items on the consent agenda?
Mayor Pro Tem Bryant,
Yes.
Commissioner Garza,
Yes.
Commissioner Rowley,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryant,
Yes.
Commissioner Porter.
Yes.
Vote is unanimous and the motion is carried. Thank you. We will move on to the next section of the agenda, which is introduction and adoption of resolutions and ordinances. The first item there this evening is request for approval of introduction of an ordinance authorizing the execution of a lease agreement between the City of Clovis and Clovis Solar LLC. And to advise our city attorney, Mr. Jared Morris.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners. So the city owns about 1,300 acres, more or less, of vacant land in and around the landfill. And for the last 25, almost 30 years, we've leased 762 acres of that land to Harrison Family Farms. The lease has been updated and amended a little bit, but it's essentially stayed the same for about the last 23 years. The payment that we receive annually for the 762 acres is currently $21,850. And by way of a termination provision in a lease agreement, we can actually unilaterally terminate that lease on 60 days' notice to Harrison Family Farms if we find a more beneficial use of the property. So now enter Clovis Solar LLC. They reached out to us asking to lease 653 acres, which would encompass what Harrison Family Farms is currently leasing. And in fact, there's a visual on page 139 of your packet that shows the three separate tracts that comprise the 653 acres. So, first of all, they wouldn't interfere with our landfill use in any way. We've checked into that. And then second of all, the compensation is a lot better. So their proposal is a 25-year lease agreement. During the development period where they're getting permits and licenses and funding and everything together to start the project, they would pay us $5,000 a year. By way of our contract, that can't exceed 7 years, but they think realistically it'll be about 3 or 4 years. Then after the development period begins a construction period. That'll last about a year, and during that period, they'll pay us $250 per acre, which is $163,250 annually. And then finally, the bulk of the lease agreement will be during the operational period, which at $750 an acre will be $489,750. So significant amount of money. It is a long-term lease, but again, Mr. Howalt has checked into it diligently, and there wouldn't be any adverse effect to the landfill. They also, Clovis Solar, said that we could continue our lease with Harrison Farms until the construction period begins. So at least 3 or 4 years, we'll still get to operate under the existing lease and provide notice to them. On the phone tonight is a rep from Clovis Solar LLC, Hillel, and I'm terrible with his last name, but his first name is Hillel. And if you have any questions for him, I don't know if you will, but in your packet is the lease that we've spent the last 3 or so weeks negotiating the final draft for your approval. And so with that, I would stand for any questions.
Well, thank you, Mr. Morris, and thank you, Mr. Howalt, as well, for bringing this before the commission this evening. I certainly think that this is a great idea when we think about the highest and best use of city land and the potential to increase the revenue that land could represent. I think this is an exciting opportunity with solar becoming more and more relevant. I think there's a good chance that this company does in fact accomplish this project. Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, any questions or concerns on this one?
I think it's a win-win situation here for us, so I move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion for approval from Commissioner Garza and a second from Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion or debate? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. Commissioners, please vote. And by a vote of 6 in favor, none opposed, the motion is carried. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to item 2 under this section, and it is request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3133-2022, amending resolution number 3108-2022 regarding the local government road funding amount for the Sugar Beet Road project, and to advise Ms. Kelsey Knight. Ms. Knight.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners. On March 3rd, the Commission approved a resolution regarding the City of Clovis's application to the Local Government Road Fund, LGRF, and the 25% match that was associated with it to reconstruct Sugar Beet Road. The application requested $300,000 from the state to be paired with a $100,000 match from the city to total $400,000. And in June, the city was notified that we received partial funding for the project, totaling $341,871, which includes an $85,468 match from the city. And so because the award amounts differ from the resolution that was passed previously, we were notified from the state that we needed to pass a new resolution and rescind it. And I'm open for any questions that you have.
Thank you, Ms. Knight. Appreciate that. Pretty straightforward, but are there any questions or concerns with this? Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners? Do we hear a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion for approval from Commissioner Jones, a second from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. Any further debate? Hearing and seeing none, please vote. And the vote is unanimous. The motion is carried. Thank you, Ms. Knight.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Next item is going to lead into several very similar items, and we'll have our attorney give us some advice and direction. But item 3 is request for approval of adoption of resolution number 3134-2022, authorizing the abatement of a structure at 820 North Prince. Mr. Morris?
Thank you again, Mayor. So the next 7 items are all requested condemnations from building safety. They're all vacant structures, and they are all requested demolitions. My preference, with your permission, would be just to explain all 7, and then at the end, if the commission is so inclined, maybe entertain a motion to approve all of them, or we can still take them one by one, if that's okay with you. So the first 2 of the 7 actually do not contain photographs in your commission packet. I learned that today, and Vicki blamed me, but I'm not so sure it was my fault. But in any event, I printed out pictures for for the first 2 and placed them in front of each one of you. So
Thank you for going to that extra trouble, Mr. Morris.
so we now have pictures, and I'll start with the first one. The first building is a vacant structure at 820. It reads North Prince, but it's South Prince. I've corrected that on the resolution. The owner is Wandel Massey, and it's a mobile home that you can tell by the pictures is essentially incapable of repair. The doors and windows are removed. It looks like the structure is collapsing. The interior is pretty much a disaster, and so their request again is to demolish 820 Prince. The next property is 721 Edwards. It also contains a vacant structure with roof and exterior walls collapsing. The owner of that structure is Rocky Bernard by way of Preferred Rentals Llc. It looks like it's been in disrepair for some time. Windows are boarded up, but again, building safety lets me know that because of the roof and exterior wall situation, it's incapable of repair and has been vacant for some time. The next property is 4212 Prince. The owner is Alfred Villanueva. In addition to being in poor shape and not structurally sound, it contains a huge amount of garbage and debris on the inside, graffiti. There's holes in the exterior walls, there's holes in the roof, and there's flooring that's been ripped up. Again, building safety deems it incapable or not feasible to repair. The next property is located at 809 Cameo here in Clovis. The owner of that property is Home for You Properties, LLC. It's another vacant home that is extremely damaged with exterior walls collapsing, the roof collapsing. Doesn't look like there's any windows if you can see from the interior pictures. It's obviously not capable of any sort of repair and needs to be demolished. Then the next property, second to last, is 817 Reed. The owner of that property is Dallas Rentals LLC. There are holes in the roof and damage to the exterior walls. The structure is vacant. There are no doors or windows as far as I can tell. The inside has been completely gutted, including flooring, drywall, ceiling, etc. And I believe, I'm not sure exactly, but I believe there was some fire damage, it looks like, from the pictures. I didn't confirm that with building safety. And then lastly is 1101 West Street, which is owned by 1101 West Street LLC. Just like the others, it's a vacant property. This one indeed was partially burned and is damaged beyond repair. The pictures are in your packet if you'd like to look at them, but exterior walls are leaning in, roof is damaged beyond repair, and so, I'm sorry, there's one more, last one. After 1101 West, the last one now is 248 Cesar Chavez. There are two property owners of record, Joe and Angelina Senna. It's a trailer house that's been abandoned, vacant, and again is incapable of repair. You can see that it's missing some exterior walls on part of it, covered in graffiti, no windows. And so it, again, to me, appears very obviously incapable of repair based on that type of structure. Again, I'd be happy to stand for any questions about any of these properties.
Great, thank you.
If you have any, thank you.
Thank you, yes, and we may have some questions, commissioners, even those commissioners that are newer are aware, but just as a reminder and for the public's benefit, we have in the last couple of years, by way of making policy, created the opportunity for you as the commission to take action and deem by resolution these nuisance properties a menace to public comfort, health, peace, or safety. And once passed, the resolution is then mailed to the property owner, and they have 15 days in which to respond and articulate a plan for correcting things. Otherwise, the city will take care of the property by demolishing it. So just wanted to make sure everyone understood. And in each of these cases, we are talking about a piece of private property, and we want to show care and consideration when it comes to private property. But as Mr. Morris explained the condition of these properties, and in many cases he mentioned incapable of repair. But it's not just that they're incapable of repair. These are nuisance properties that the property owner seems to be unresponsive when we've sent warnings and those kinds of things. And again, they do have the 15 days to respond after receiving this. So unless there are other questions, I would have you consider, commissioners, crafting a motion that would approve all of these. If you do not wish to do that, you could leave one or two out if you wish, if you feel like they need further discussion.
I will make a motion that we approve Resolution 3134, 2022 through 3140, 2022.
Second.
Yeah, it has been moved and seconded that we would approve all 7 resolutions. The motion was made by Commissioner Jones. The second came from Commissioner Bryant. Unless there's any further discussion or debate, commissioners, please vote. And the vote is unanimous, and the motion is carried. Thank you. Nothing to deal with under unfinished business this evening, so we are on to the new business in tonight's agenda, and 3 items there. The first is request for approval to appoint 3 citizen members to serve on the Clovis-Carver Library Board, and to advise on that. Mr. Howald?
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners. Ms. Schuckman, Ms. Olam, and Ms. Cordova's terms on the Clovis-Carver Library Board have expired. The positions have been advertised, and Ms. Schuckman and Ms. Olam have both reapplied. And we've also received additional applications from Ms. Green and Ms. Duke. Because there's 3 slots and we have 4 applications, an election is going to be needed. So you should have the papers in front of you, sir.
Okay, very good. And do we have,
No papers.
I'm not sure that we do have the ballots. But while we look for the ballots, do we have applicants? We do have, we have 2 applicants. Ma'am, we'll begin with you. If you want to come forward and introduce yourself and talk to us about your desire to serve.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. My name is Jennifer Duke. I'm an academic advisor at Clovis Community College. I grew up here in Clovis and in fact went to Highland Elementary School where Mrs. Schuckman was my librarian. I had hoped she'd be here because I wanted to say that I went to the Battle of the Books with the Highland team twice under her leadership. We placed both times. And unfortunately, one of those times we lost first place due to me not having read Little Women. And I wanted to assure her tonight that I have now read Little Women
You have
many
since,
times.
that's good.
I have, as well as Little Men and Joe's Boys. So I've absolutely made up for it, I hope. I attended the University of Texas at San Antonio, go Runners, and that's where I started my career in higher education. I returned to Clovis at my mom's request a few years ago and accepted my current position at the college. I currently volunteer with the Clovis Cultural Arts Series, but I've always wanted to get more involved on the civic side of my hometown. Because of the similarities in mission and funding between public education and the city library, I thought this would be the best board to start with. I also wanted to say that running alongside Ms. Schuckman makes this whole experience very full circle for me, and I'm really excited for the chance at this opportunity. If you guys have any questions, I would love to answer them, and otherwise, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Duke. Are there any questions?
No, thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate your
Thank you for
interest.
your interest, yes.
Good evening, ma'am. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Iris Green. I am not a native of Clovis. I hail from Joshua Tree, California, which is about the size of Melrose. But I have traveled all over the world. I grew up actually as a latchkey kid. I believe that we are all old enough to know what a latchkey kid is. And so many of my days were spent in my local library, where I went on many adventures. I had great role models that were there for me. Clovis is the longest location that I've ever lived in my life. I've been a resident of Clovis since September of 2015. I wore my fantastic shirt. It says my weekend is booked.
Nice.
I also have a fun tidbit for you. Did you know that in order to be a small library, you must have 1,000 books? I currently own 1,025 to not include any religious text or magazines, which libraries do have. Let's see. I want to serve with the library board because, like I said, this is the longest I've ever lived in one location, and having been a latchkey kid and having had so many great role models from the librarians and the staff in the library, I would like to see our library also create wonderful role models for our youth of this area. I currently work for Clovis School District in their technology department. I have been called a nerd on many occasions. I hold 3 different bachelor's degrees and 1 associate's degree, associates in psychology, and then a bachelor's in criminal justice, business administration, and information technology. So again, kind of a nerd. And as I said, I've traveled all over, not just in the United States, but also in foreign countries. I'm a United States Army veteran. I served as a communications specialist. Technically, it's a 25 Foxtrot, which is a, network switching systems operator maintainer. It's a mouthful, where I got to travel all over the place. And so Clovis is kind of my roots now, and I'd like to give back to the community that has claimed me as their own. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and
you.
you're a delight, and thank you for your interest in serving here. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And just to be clear, we do not have Ms. Shookman or Ms. Ullum here? Or
No,
do-
sir, and
Okay.
if you don't mind using the tablets of paper you have up there, we apologize.
Okay, so we just need each commissioner to write the names of all four and then vote for,
Just write the three candidates that you would
write the
like to.
three candidates you would
Yes,
like. Okay, very good. Unless there's any further discussion, please write down the names of the three that you're voting for to serve on the library board.
And sign your name.
And sign your name. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And I have to do that too.
Hang on, wait for me.
You're not the last one yet. Right past her. No, you're the last one. Sign your name, sign your name. We'll keep them straight over here.
My real name?
You know, Ms. Duke, Ms. Green, thank you sincerely for your interest in serving. If for some reason you're not one of the three that are selected, we certainly don't want you to feel bad about that, and we'd like for you to continue to look for places to serve on city boards and committees, because if you're willing to serve, we need you. But sincerely, thank you. I sure hope you did a good job on your ballots. And there's no problem tabulating the
Yeah,
results.
deciphering the penmanship.
Tabulation apparently seems to be a problem this evening, Mayor. Anne Shookman, Jennifer Duke, and Iris Green have been appointed to serve. Thank you.
Congratulations. ladies.
Congratulations, ladies.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Enjoy serving. I know we'll benefit from your service. Thanks. All right, commissioners, back to the new business items. We're at new business item 2, and it is request for approval of a contract renewal with Capital Consultants LLC for the fiscal year 2022-2023. Ms. Burrows, do we have Mr. Ryan online?
I believe we do, Mayor.
Okay, very good. Well, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, I think most of you, if not all of you, are familiar with Mr. John Ryan, who has appeared on our screen now, and he has been under contract with the city for consulting services for many years, and is a pleasure to work with. He's a man of great knowledge and many resources, and just provides great service to the city. And he's joined us virtually. I'll give him the floor. Mr. Ryan, if you'd like to share with us.
Oh, I appreciate it so much, Mayor and Commissioners and staff. I have been working with the city of Clovis for many years, maybe Mayor, since you were a tiny little kid.
Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah. As young as I am, yeah.
2008, I think, is when I got hired, and we've been through a lot of issues, from water to the airport to parks and different grants that we've gone after, both federal, state, and so it's been a pleasure. Every time I get to advocate for the city of Clovis, I enjoy it and find out new and exciting things that are happening on the east side of the state. and I'm glad to be a part of it. Your staff is fantastic. Over the years, you know, sometimes it's really heavy work, and other times it's a little slow. And so recently it's been a little slow. Maybe I'm getting a little older, but your staff is getting better. You've got grant writers that are really efficient. Your city manager and deputy manager are number one. And I've been in a number of meetings where the city of Clovis comes up, and people talk about how active the city is in following grants, going after grants, and being successful. So glad to be a part of it, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great, thanks, Mr. Ryan. The commission may have some questions for you. I thought it might be nice if you gave us just a little bit of your resume. Now, you've been working as a consultant with the city of Clovis since 2008, but you've been a consultant for other entities as well, I'm sure. But you were a state senator, isn't that right?
Oh, you had to bring that up. I thought I could slide through without that coming up. So I have a lot of background in New Mexico government. I work for members of our New Mexico congressional delegation in Washington, D.C. I was in D.C. for about 15 years. I worked for Senator Pete Domenici. I worked for Congressman Joe Skeen on the House Appropriations Committee, and then returned home, which is Albuquerque, and ran for the state senate in 2004 and won 3 consecutive terms. Retired in 2016. But all along, when I left Washington, D.C., I opened a business to advocate for New Mexico projects and New Mexico entities in Washington, D.C. I represented water clients, electric clients, and obviously the city for a very long time. And I think that's probably enough.
Yes, that's probably enough, Mr. Ryan. I just wanted you to speak a little bit to your experience, because I for one find it extremely impressive, and I just wanted this commission to hear and understand the amount of experience and wisdom that you bring to the position, and with him on contract, we have all of that at our disposal, and we have his assistance when we're going after grants, when we're lobbying and advocating for the benefit of the city of Clovis. And I think it's appropriate that he's joining us virtually this evening, because that's how I got to know him. Because right after I took office, of course, we were doing everything virtually, but John was instrumental in us getting Senate Bill 49 passed during the 2021 session, and getting the state statute changed so that we could do what we've now done here, and that is, create a way to incentivize retail development. And so I did a lot of video meetings with him before I ever met him in person. And so thanks, John. Appreciate all you do for us. Mayor Pro Tem, commissioners, any questions or concerns concerning Mr. Ryan's contract?
No questions, Mayor, but, I've worked with John for many years, and of course, he's our federal lobbyist also for the Eastern New Mexico Water Utility Authority, and does a great job with that as well. But he's also been real instrumental when we go to Washington on setting up meetings with our delegation. So he's been a big help in that aspect. So I'll make a motion to approve his contract.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion for approval from Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. The second came from Commissioner Garza. Any further discussion or debate? Hearing and seeing none, commissioners, please vote. And the vote is unanimous. The motion is carried. Mr. Ryan, you've done it again.
Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you in person shortly.
Yes, sir.
Maybe even tomorrow.
Yes.
When the governor comes in, and thank you again for continuing my work.
We're glad to. Thank you. Appreciate you, and hope to see you tomorrow.
Thanks, John.
All right.
Thank you, John.
We'll move on to new business item number 3, and it is request for approval of Hillcrest Park Zoo logo. And to advise, we have our zoo director, Still getting to know you. I'm sorry. What's the last name?
Damian Lechner.
Our director, Mr. Lechner. Thank you for being here, and we look forward to hearing from you. We'll give you the floor.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners, as we continue to modernize the zoo and become a larger regional destination, we felt that it was necessary to improve the zoo's logo. So it would give us a brand identity, also increase revenue in the gift shop, where we can have that brand on certain items, T-shirts, bumper stickers, and the like. We brought this to the Parks and Rec Beautification Committee, and they approved it. So we want to bring it here for approval. But I believe Kelsey has a PowerPoint.
Thank you. The Parks, Recreation, and Beautification Committee approved the logo with some minor adjustments, so we wanted to present that to you today. On this PowerPoint, that's what the current signage looks like at the zoo, so we're definitely in need of a refresh. If we can go to the next slide, please. This was the logo that was presented to the committee, and their suggestions were to add some kind of dot or star where Clovis is located in New Mexico, and then also to play with the wording. So we used a website called 99 Designs where graphic designers from across the country can submit their design work. We had probably 80 designs submitted and narrowed them down, and this was one of our favorites. Really liked the feel. It feels both playful and kind of historic, like the zoo's been here for a while, and it has. If we could go to the next slide. So these are the options that we present to you today. They have the star added of where Clovis, New Mexico is, which I think that's a great addition. And so now we are trying to decide the text of how Hillcrest Park Zoo is going to appear. So you have three options here. My recommendation to you all would be option 1 with Hillcrest Park on one line and zoo on the second line. It looks the cleanest, it's the easiest to read, and really emphasizes that it's the Hillcrest Park Zoo rather than the Hillcrest Park Zoo as some of the others read. And we're open for any questions that you might have.
Well, thanks. Thanks for that. That's exciting. When we were looking at the image that was up there first, I thought maybe that's what you were presenting, and so I am so glad that we got that we're looking at this instead. I'm joking a little bit, but seriously, I wondered what that was. So, any questions, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, as we talk about the logo for the second largest zoo in the state of New Mexico?
No, just thanks for your hard work on this.
Yeah, very much.
Appreciate it.
I was going to tell Mr. Graham McGee that the picture he was taking, that the first photo wasn't it. There you go. There's always a good thing to have, comparisons.
Good. So the recommendation from city staff is option 1. Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, what are your thoughts, or is there a motion?
One is always good.
I'll make a motion to
Second.
approve option 1.
Okay, we have a motion for approval of option 1 for the Hillcrest Park Zoo logo from Commissioner David Bryant. The second came from Commissioner Garza. Any further debate or discussion? Hearing and seeing none, please vote. And the vote is unanimous. The motion is carried. Thank you for your work on that. Thanks for bringing that to us.
Good job.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Very good. We will move on to reports of boards, officers, and committees. First, do we have a report from the Planning and Zoning Commission that took place on Wednesday, June 22nd?
Been busy with subdivisions approvals, and it's moving along very well, and I think we're going to have some more housing up in a few more months. But that's it. This is very short.
Yeah, very good. It's great to see the activity at Planning and Zoning, and then it coming to you here at the commission, as it seems the market is responding to the housing needs in our city, and that's very exciting. So thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks for your service on P&Z. Next, we have a report on the Eastern New Mexico Water Utility Authority Board meeting, which took place on June 23rd. I'll report briefly on that. The Authority Board met, as I said, on June 23rd. New business items included approving the Open Meetings Act resolution, also approving the regular board meeting schedule for the new fiscal year. And by the way, and just a reminder and an invitation to the public, in fact, the Eastern New Mexico Water Utility Authority board meetings, which concerns the Ute Pipeline project, are open, 100% open to the public, and they take place at 3 p.m. on the fourth Thursday of each month. And I would encourage you to attend those meetings if you like. Also, under new business, we had action taken on matching funds for Finished Water 1 phase of the pipeline. That is a portion of the pipeline that we are currently out to bid on and hope to award a contract by early October, and that is the 15.5-mile section of the project that will head north from Cannon Air Force Base toward the proposed water treatment facility location. Also updated the ICIP, the Infrastructure Capital Improvement Plan. We approved that. We approved the legal services, which involved a little bit of a change. We gave notice for a sole source contract with Harmon, Barnett, and Morris. Mr. Cameron Barnett serves as the attorney for the Water Authority Board. And because of all of the activity taking place with easement acquisition and the like, as the project ramps up and we get very busy with construction, it's important that we have the experience of our attorney, Cameron Barnett, at our disposal. So it was important that we take that step and secure a sole source contract with him. We also approved what was referred to as Amendment 10 of the 2020 Engineering Services Contract. With that approval, and it was approved pending funding, we approved all of the design and engineering services for the rest of the project. We are engaged in all phases of the Ute Pipeline project at this point. Past that, we heard reports from our consultants and our administrator, and that is where I'll stop and take any questions that you may have. It appears we do not have questions, so we'll continue with our reports. Parks, Recreation, and Beautification Committee met on Monday, June 27th. Do we have a report?
Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners, I can provide an update.
Okay.
So the committee heard from Touchstone Golf regarding our greens fees and rates at Colonial Park Golf Course. And so they made a recommendation to the committee, which will be coming before you at the next City Commission meeting with the plans to implement those starting August the 1st. They also heard an update and took some action regarding the Summer Yard of the Month. And if you recall, we used to do that on a monthly basis, but we're modifying the program to where it's actually just going to be based off of for the entire summer. And so they're going to increase the number of awards, not only for yards that may be irrigated, but for some yards that are maybe xeriscaped as well as businesses. And then put it out to the public for some recommendations on the properties that should be nominated and then voted upon as part of that program. Of course, we heard about the logo, and so you guys took action on that this evening. And then also we heard about the AYSO soccer program, and unfortunately they haven't been able to establish a board of directors in our region, and so AYSO will no longer have a program within the city of Clovis. So we do still have a CYSA to provide a soccer program to our citizens, and so unfortunately AYSO had to fold. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding the meeting.
Appreciate that. Thanks for that report. Any questions? Doesn't appear that there are. Next, Civil Aviation Board met on Tuesday, July 5th. I sit on that board, so I'll give a brief report. The meeting involved the taking of no action. It was largely reports from our airport director, Mr. James Harris. A couple of items that I wanted to share with you that I think are particularly of interest. Mr. Harris reported that he had heard from New Mexico Department of Transportation Aviation about a grant opportunity. The NMDOT reached out to him and said that they had $188,000 in grant opportunity and asked if he had need for that. And guess what he said? He went to his board, where I would imagine it must be a wish list of projects that he would like to do, and he came up with, when he was offered $188,000 in grants, he came up with $187,823.43 worth of projects that he could complete at the airport. And I want to let you know, this is 100% grant. Just a great deal, and what he's going to accomplish with that, or as he reported to the Civil Aviation Board, is relocating the administration building. He's going to replace airfield lighting generator. He's replacing interior T-hanger lighting fixtures and installing LED. Move and replace the airport rotating beacon LED. Purchase a heavy-duty walk-behind tug, and purchase a medium-duty walk-behind tug. And again, just great things going on out at the airport, as evidenced in the other thing that I wanted to mention, and that is the enplanements. That's how we measure the success of Denver Air Connections, who has the Essential Air Service contract. And as you know, they're flying daily to Denver International Airport as well as DFW. And in the month of June, it was down slightly. 1,188 emplanements in the month of June, bringing the total for the year up to 6,166. And remember, the goal is 10,000 for the year. And so we're well on pace to meet that, or actually exceed the goal. And when we do, that increases the funding. And it's just great to see Denver Air Connections having such success, and great to see all the great activity out at the airport. Any questions on civil aviation? Okay. Lastly, under reports, Ute Water public meeting update. Last evening here in the North Annex, I asked the Water Authority Administrator, Mr. Orlando Ortega, our city manager, Mr. Howalt, and city staff and authority staff to help me in preparing an update for the public. And we provided an update on the Ute Pipeline project. There has been so much that has transpired with that in the last several months, really triggered with the passage of the federal infrastructure bill last fall. And as I mentioned when I was reporting on the authority board meeting, we are engaged in all phases of the project. It's important that the public understand what we're doing, where we're at, in what stage of progress we're at with that project, as it is vital for water sustainability. Which, as you can imagine, is important for our community. So did that last night. It was streamed on the city's website, and when it's put there, it's also put on the Facebook page and the YouTube page and all those places. So I encourage you, if you did not get the chance to view that and you wish to, it's out there. It's available to you. Please go look at it. We'll move on to future agenda items. I'll check with city management. Are there future agenda items?
Keaton Orcutt will be giving the presentation regarding the Gulf fees. Of course, we'll have the various ordinances regarding the mill levy. That'll be at the next meeting. That's all I have at the moment. Thank you. Okay, great. That's right. We'll have at the next meeting
Before you for final adoption the 1 mill levy, which we discussed at the last city commission meeting, which is the strategy for funding the Ute Pipeline project, or it's actually a major part of the funding strategy to fund the Ute Pipeline project. So please, if you're interested in that, track that and be at the next meeting. Commissioners, Mayor Pro Tem, do you have future agenda items to bring forward? Nope. Very well. We'll announce date, time, and place of city board and commission meetings. The Water Policy Advisory Committee will meet at 8:30 on Monday. That's 8:30 a.m. on Monday, July 11th, here in this room. The Lodgers Tax Advisory Board will meet at 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday, July 12th. Planning and Zoning Commission will meet at 3 p.m. on Wednesday, July 13th. Senior Services Committee will meet at 1:30 p.m. Thursday, July 14th. The Parks, Recreation, and Beautification Committee will meet at 5:30 p.m. on Monday, July 18th. And there's more. The Finance Committee meeting will meet at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, July 20th in the Assembly Room over at City Hall. And our next City Commission meeting is at 5:15 p.m. on Thursday, July 21st here in the North Annex.
Mayor,
Yes.
if I could just welcome the 2 new members of the library board and let them know that their first meeting will be at 5:30 on Monday, the 25th of this month, in this room.
Thank you for that. They needed to know that, didn't they? I'm glad you brought that up. Well, thank you very much.
Mayor? The Planning and Zoning Commission meeting has been cancelled.
Oh. Everyone make note that the Planning and Zoning meeting has been canceled. Any other changes to upcoming meetings? Very well. Thanks, everyone. We are adjourned.